I think digital marketing as a profession has gone through massive changes with this awareness. So you will now find at this point of time people saying that basis your product, you should choose your or your digital approach. So some products may just need search engine marketing. Some products might need a particular kind of presence on certain social media channels and not on others, right? And instead of this same content being put across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, you can have different strategies for each of them, and you can have different influencers to work with.
Hi, welcome to the Digital Vigyaan podcast. Vigyaan is a Sanskrit term for science, and that's precisely what this podcast is all about, the science behind digital marketing. I'm your host, Dronacharya Dave, and I'm here to speak with experts from different domains of digital marketing as well as industry segments and learn their opinion on the ever changing landscape of digital marketing. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Digital Vigyaan podcast. Now, in the last few years, the combination of AI and digital marketing has been evolving the way brands communicate with their target audience and achieve their business objectives. So, to understand what exactly is going on in the space, I invited Mr. Jay Vikram Bakshi for this week's episode. Mr. Bakshi is the founder and mentor at Digicom, a leading AI focused digital marketing advisory who also mentors entrepreneurs and startups to achieve global scale. Mr. Bakshi is also a community builder in the capacity of providing support in building libraries in rural areas. He comes from a hardcore journalism background along with deep experience in IT and mobile marketing. Here's how the conversation unfolded.
Hi, Jessa. Welcome to the Digital Vikram podcast.
My pleasure. Drona, I'm seeing you after 10 years.
So it's been a very long time, and it's a pleasure, sir. So before we get into the nitty gritties of our episode today, if you can just give a brief about yourself.
This query comes a lot. So um, so in HR terms, this is called instead of serial entrepreneur, you can call me parallel entrepreneur.
Okay.
Uh, because I started my journey firstly qualifying as a accountant and then gotten into media. And
Right.
those days, business media was something which was very new. And somebody who could read balance sheets was also very, very required. So I somehow or the other found my space there, and I worked with, in the first part of my career, with all the leading business publications in this country. But my love for telecom and the cutting edge of tech is what brought me to Nokia. And in
Okay.
Nokia, I had this, my horizon immediately broadened. I got to know India more deeper than I'd ever done, and also got to know the world much more than I ever thought I could. So so that experience actually brought me to where I have been in the next, I mean, this phase of my life, which is the next 15 years, which is starting up, setting up, and scaling. So, and I chose digital at that time, all aspects of digital, because I took a call at what's happening in the world, and I realized that this is going to be the default play. So if you remember those days, it used to be said that, this is new media. So there is
Yeah.
traditional media, and then
Yes.
there is new media. Actually, the entire definition of digital startups, entrepreneurship, everything has changed dramatically in the last 15 years, and I would specifically say in the last 10 years, because
Absolutely.
the way it happens, and I've seen this repeating itself in the telecom industry as well. Once people start looking at solutions for their use, then adoption happens very, very rapidly.
Right.
And I'm happy to quote a line from Nandan Nilekani, who is one of the tech pioneers and who continues to inspire even today. So he used a term in one of his presentations, which is innovation at population scale. And that's what he was using to describe the transformation which Aadhaar and UPI, that Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, mobile trinity, what that actually meant. When it started, nobody really paid a lot of attention to it. But this innovation at population scale is a reality now. And when I look at it from the world of digital marketing, Drona, I can just tell you we're at the starting block once again.
Right. Right. So I actually, this is something which I, actually was really curious to understand from you. A lot has changed, actually, not just Twitter becoming X, right? But
Hmm.
beyond that. So
Hmm.
I actually wanted to understand from you, to start with our conversation today, what is the biggest change you have seen, or in the digital marketing space currently, that you see and feel that, I mean, never expected this to happen. Any particular change which you reckon as like the biggest change that has happened um, in the digital marketing realm totally in last decade or so? I know a lot of things have happened, but for you personally.
See, a very good question, and it's actually a very thought-provoking one, because if you look at it in perspective, you realize that each change has been built on the previous one. Like I was just
Right.
telling a friend with whom I worked in a high-tech telecom software company. So the codecs that we are using for our voice, video, multimedia, there are there's a set of codecs. It's in the ITU, in International Telecom Union. The codes are, if I'm not mistaken, H243 and H245. These were the codecs which were being written in 98, 99, which enables you and me to have this conversation now. Okay, and
Wow.
I'm talking about when we were talking about 3G technology. We are all of us almost have broadband 100 Mbps access, right, at home, Wi-Fi, etc. When you look at 5G, when you look at 6G, the standards of which are now coming in, you realize that there's a lot more that will happen next. So, in a presentation I was watching 2 or 3 years back, the entire story of avatars had been internalized. So there was this concept that there is a metaverse that will be created with virtual reality glasses. And that's going to be the default state, because when you start talking, when you start engaging with yourself or with other people, you are creating experiences, right? So this, for instance, is an experience for us
Right.
as well as for the people who are going to be watching this. This, in my opinion, is where the core of content comes from. So if you
Right.
look at it from the digital marketing point of view, now look at the points at which a marketer will look at it. A good marketer will look at what are the points at which I can get my consumer or user, or my target consumer or potential user, to engage and do something, right? So buy a product, buy a service, buy a point of view, agree to
Right.
an opinion. So, those three buttons below every post, the like button, the repost button,
Comment,
the
share.
comment button, these are actually being measured with a business case. So if you go to X, which is now the successor to Twitter, they are selling you memberships now with the promise that, hey, now you can monetize your account just on the basis of the engagement that your content creates. So if you ask me, what is the new thing which has happened? It's the creation of the creator economy.
Okay. Creation of the creator economy.
Right. So
So
when you look at
can you
when I
elaborate a little on that?
yeah, so let me just we 10 years back, Twitter was new, Instagram
Yes.
was just coming in, and somewhere in the background there was Snapchat, somewhere in the background there was TikTok, and then
These
the
were still
government
in the in India, if we talk about specifically, they
in
were still
India
in the nascent
2015
2015.
till
Yes.
2015 it was, I mean, it was hardly anything, right?
Anything. Yeah.
Now in 2023, YouTube, Instagram Reels,
Yeah.
video content has proliferated. There are business
Absolutely.
cases here. There are people who have millions of followers and subscribers for the content that they're sharing. And I hope someday you'll reach there too.
I hope so,
Um,
sir.
and there are business cases there. So this is something which would not have been possible without the quality of connectivity. Now, when you look at the quality of connectivity, we started using Zoom in seriousness through the COVID years, right?
Yes.
Before that, it would be something that you did, as a official corporate thing. But through COVID, this became your almost default way of conversations with people.
Right.
And so video as a way of communicating has become almost default across platforms, right? It doesn't matter whether you're on WhatsApp, WhatsApp video calls, Google platform, Google Meet, Zoom, Microsoft Office also has Teams,
Teams.
right? So it's become almost like this is something you have to have. And what that has created is the content creator economy. Now, when you look at it from the digital marketer's point of view, I am looking at the ways I can access my user or the consumer's mindset, right? I want to target a person who's out there looking for ice cream to buy at a particular point of time in a particular geography with the right messages that he or she will be buying ice cream.
Right.
There's always a purpose, right? Now, you take this technology, you take the ability to engage, you take the new brand ambassadors, the influencers, the content creators are also influencers because you're, following them for various things.
Right.
Now, one content creator comes up with a particular color of shirt or a particular frame of glasses. You say, hey, I want to buy that. So you'll find a little message saying, the clothes sponsored by or glasses sponsored by, right? Or the content creator says that, okay, I want ice cream. So what flavor of ice cream? So this ice cream sponsored by, right? And here you have a code, follow me, like this post, and code this code to get a discount. And it works. Now, so what am I describing to you? It's not just marketing, it's sales.
Right.
So the boundaries are uh, actually merging. You're seeing some kind of a congruence coming in, which is something which people hadn't really planned on because they always used to be, traditional walls. Okay, this is creative, this is content, this is media planning, this is, media ops, which is, space buying. Now you're seeing that, okay, content delivered in a particular way, I can get rid of this entire layer, or I
Right.
need to integrate these layers and make it such that I can, instead of having one line, which I, ponder over and work on for months before I release the ad, I can change that line maybe 50 times a day.
Right.
Or in the case of one of the brands that I was working with, we created something like 40 pieces of content on one particular product across 400 different digital channels.
Okay.
Okay. And then we realized that, hey, why are we doing so much work? Let's power it with AI. And that's the next big thing.
It is.
So depending on the audience, the product is the same. Okay, it's a mobile phone. Okay, so in each platform, it's coming up with a different look, with a different
Except if
set of
it's a
players.
except if it's an iPhone.
It wasn't an iPhone. It wasn't an iPhone, right? Because
All the Apple users are going
yeah,
to
yeah.
unsubscribe me after this episode.
But this is actually where the play comes in. That if you were to look at digital, what was the promise of digital marketing? The promise of digital marketing was that I will go to the audience in a manner which is more effective and more personal, right? Which is where, your customized emails. I mean, digital emailers were the first exercise in digital marketing. Digital advertising was putting ads on search engine ads. Before Google, a lot of people don't remember, there used to be a number of search engines. One was called Alta Vista. Another was
Okay.
called Northern Light. There were various other, I don't
I think
remember now. The
Yahoo
Yahoo
also
also had
came
a search
around
engine.
the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct, correct. And Yahoo today, you have it as a mailbox, but originally it had a search engine. Yahoo
Yeah.
used to have chat rooms, which were very
Yeah.
popular.
Yeah. Right.
Now you have
Yahoo
Telegram and
Messengers.
Signal. Correct. So that is today an app, and they're doing pretty well. Telegram and Signal, right? So you having had this kind of an experience in the space, I can tell you that if you ask me what is one big change, I would say there wouldn't be one big change. There would be many changes. Of course, at this point of time, the world is just woken up to the magic of generational AI, magic and threats of generational AI, and
I want to come to that also. I want to come to that
and
also.
that's captured a lot of the imagination. But as usual, it's just what we see is just the tip of the iceberg, and there are both very beneficial uses to it and extremely threatening users, which is why you hear these newspapers, and you
Yeah.
see people like Elon Musk signing for a moratorium
Yeah.
on a halt to AI development,
Yeah.
because there is a belief that and a lot of futurists have said this, that if AI continues at the rate at which is continuing, in another 5 to 10 years, it'll reach what is known as super intelligence,
Super intelligence. Yes.
which is that moment where it overtakes human
Human
intelligence
intelligence.
capability, and that becomes a threat to humanity.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to come to this particular point only that you just touched based on, because last a decade or so, digital marketing as a field has seen a lot of evolution. Like you mentioned, in the beginning of our conversation, that earlier it was considered as a new media, right? Addition to the existing traditional media, but obviously it has become something so substantial that today, irrespective of what the industry vertical is, every brand, every uh, industry is, like, raging to just capitalize it to their benefit, right now people are not really sure, like as you mentioned, it is a division. There are a set of
Correct.
people who are seeing it as a boon. There are a set of people who are seeing it as a threat, right? This is something I actually wanted to understand from you, your point of view, that uh, which section do you stand in? Like, is there something that disturbs you about this raging evolution of AI ML, or you think that it is the need of the hour?
See, technology off and on itself is not bad. No technology is bad, right? It's the usage of that technology which can create problems. Like for instance, um, in digital marketing, there's something which is called cookie serving, right? So
Mhm.
there's a cookie which is served by, say, Facebook, and then basis that cookie, you have something called lookalike advertising. So from an advertiser's point of view, if you've been looking for one brand of luggage, then the other brand of luggage can also target you because you've been looking for luggage. And I think that's fair, right? So for you as a user, you're seeing that, okay, how much choice do I have? But on the other hand, you will find a lot of people telling you that, hey, I was looking for luggage on Amazon. How come Facebook is showing me an ad, right? And that's the follow-through effect of the cookie which has been served on your device, whether it's a phone or a
Yeah.
iPad, tablet, or a laptop. And people act as if, oh my God, there's some God out there behind all this algorithm, and therefore I must buy because it's coming to me in all directions. They don't realize that this is exactly
Remarketing,
what is
remarketing
remarketing,
this. Yeah.
and this is something which is huge, but it may not last for the simple reason that people actually, thanks to GDPR, which came out with this global guidelines for public privacy, privacy online in Europe, and they started implementing it in such a strict fashion that cookie serving now has become a liability of sorts. But then when you see generative AI, which is helping you complete your sentences, the AI is actually gathering more information about you than delivering for you, right? So it's a continuum. It's not as if that you don't want the machine per se to learn more about you. The machine will learn only that much about you that you want it to learn. And it's up to you to decide how much of information do I want to share. Now, if you look at somebody who has never had access to information, let's go, say, to a part of India which has not yet got cell towers and not yet got 3G or 4G connectivity. Um, Before coming to work, maybe the work would have been to set up a digital school there. The people in that community will first go and surf whatever is the latest song and whatever is the newest thing going. So there's a leapfrogging which will happen. And at that point of time, if you say that, hey, give me your, mobile number, your Aadhaar card, etc., people do it all the time, and that's where all these scams come from.
Right.
So all these online scams, every one of them would have had one user who has unsuspectingly shared some personal information, which is why you have so many authorities saying that don't share, don't share, don't,
This is
you're a bank,
also,
don't share.
yeah, this is also one of the one of the things that happened over the period of time, that with the advancement of digital technology, the crime has also evolved. Now,
Yes, yes,
the
yes,
cases of cyber crimes and digital crimes have become more prominent in the last
correct,
few years.
correct. And the scale of it.
The scale
So
of it, yeah.
population scale. So it's like I'm taking 10 rupees out of the wallets of 10 crore people. And that is accidentally coming out because, somebody in my, cohorts or somebody somewhere I went and spent the money, suddenly found out. So coming back to the point which you raised, which I think is very valid, um, when does technology start becoming a threat? So technology starts becoming a threat only if the design of it is opaque and the motivations of the people who are designing that tech is not clear or can be misused. And that's exactly where the question marks on AI comes in. And that's where the question comes in, as in who's coding this AI and for what purpose. Now, where does that question come from? I mentioned GDPR. A bigger play is coming from, if you remember, the elections, the Brexit elections in UK,
Yeah.
and the allegations that Cambridge Analytica had, studied a percentage of the voters and pumped them with
Yeah.
advertising, which made them change their mind and vote. Okay, I wish it was as simple as that. And I mean, investigators have found that yes, that is something that happened. But if people are going to get influenced by what they're seeing and consuming, um, who's at the end of the day, who's responsible? The people themselves, right? So if
Absolutely.
you are like in the current scenario, if you're radicalizing yourself to a particular belief system because of videos that you're consuming on YouTube, and then carrying out a knife attack on somebody uh, whose book you didn't read and whose book was written before you were born. Right? I'm talking about the Salman Rushdie case,
Yeah, yeah,
which he's written
yeah.
about in the book Knife.
Yeah, that
Do
recently
you
happened.
would you blame technology? And that's where the thing comes in, that how much of technology and what kind of technology is out there, and what would you how would you blame technology with it?
I totally concur with what you are saying right now, because until and unless someone wants to get influenced, they won't get influenced. I mean, if I'm getting influenced by something, because I'm letting myself getting influenced, right? And there is this thing, I don't know if it's a thing or not, but there is this sort of a marketing tactic which has been going on again for a while now, and I think it kind of have some role to play in this, which is viral marketing. So do you
Mm,
think making things viral deliberately plays a
mm.
role in what you're just saying right now?
Okay, which is the first viral ad or viral thing that goes through you? When I say viral, what is the first thing that goes through your mind?
uh I think the first thing would be uh I think Kolavari
A
song.
perfect, a perfect example. Perfect
Yes, yes.
example. Because it went around the world and it had everybody dancing to it, people recording their own versions and putting it up on social media, and it sort of caught fire.
Yeah,
Um, it went around for about 6 months before the movie in which it featured released.
yeah.
The movie bombed.
The movie, yes, the movie bomb.
So the campaign worked, but the product didn't sell.
Yeah.
And this is something which I keep telling clients, brands, marketers, whenever they say, "Mujhe kuch viral bana ke do." I just quote this example that, virality for the sake of virality means nothing. Every example that you see of something working, you also see something that is not working. But for every example that of something not working, you see something working, right? So it's basically about thinking it through. Nika is a classic example of this working.
Yeah.
Nika started out as a cosmetics brand meant for Indian women online, and look where they've reached
Yeah,
now, right?
absolutely.
I think digital marketing as a profession has gone through massive changes with this awareness. So you will now find at this point of time people saying that basis your product, you should choose your or your digital approach. So some products may just need search engine marketing. Some products might need a particular kind of presence on certain social media channels and not on others, right? And instead of this same content being put across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, you can have different strategies for each of them, and you can have different influencers to work with for each of them. And
I was just
yeah,
about to ask you that. Think that this viral marketing that I'm like we are talking about, has it sort of merged or evolved into what we call as influencer marketing today?
I would like to keep the magic around virality,
Okay.
because in influencer marketing, what has happened and what is happening is that need for disclosure is coming up, right? So you are seeing that it comes up from various points at various points of time. For instance, the Advertising Standards Council put out a code saying that if you receive money to endorse this brand say that it's a endorsement post. I think Instagram also has that, advertised post or content has been done with kind of
Sponsored
a,
tag.
yeah, sponsored by kind of thing. Um, because the influencer who has been paid to put up this post can perhaps be a good uh, channel for your product visibility and for sales, but it should be well and properly labeled. Because what has happened is, and this I think you've seen in the last 10 years, the credibility of user-generated content, like you saying that, I use this product and I like it, is among your friends is far higher, right? So you will possibly remember, everybody used to have one friend, Gari kaun sa lena hai, and that friend would tell you. Now that friend has become a website called cardekho.com. Right.
Right.
But does that keep that friend away? No. Even after checking out what you're seeing on cardekho.com, you will go to that friend and say, "Yeah, I've seen all of this happening on Cardekho. What do you think?" And I'll just, since I'm talking about D2C, I'll just bring in that new animal called hyper local marketing.
Marketing.
And the best example of hyper local marketing is a framework which has been created by ONDC. ONDC is a government framework, it's a free framework where, short form for Open Network for Digital Commerce, where your local kirana wala can be the local Amazon. So you using an app can figure out where am I getting my supply. It could be grocery, it could be insurance, it could be air tickets, it could be anything that you want. And it's a completely democratically organized thing, because if you don't like the service, you rate it, right? The platform becomes independent. And once you achieve that, and that's actually what's rolling out, the complexity in the world of the digital marketer and the opportunities both grow immensely, right? So you might still be buying that same soap which you went to, your uh, modern retail outlet, like the supermarkets or the kirana or on the digital sites. Now you have the choice to have a local guy deliver it for you.
So I
Uh,
think we already have that started happening with, the likes of Blinkits and Swiggy, Instamart, and Zepto, and all these
yeah.
players
All
coming
of
in.
them, yeah. All of them are getting into the game. All of them are
Yeah.
getting into the game because it's suddenly makes their job much easier. Because when you're a
Yeah.
Swiggy, you know who's packed it, you know who's delivering it, you know who you paid. So any mistake on the way, you can actually figure out whose mistake that was.
Yeah.
And that makes it much more transparent, much more, I would say, scalable, and hugely hyper local. So where you are and what kind of services you're getting now is, you're without a boundary. So you can have your local guide delivering things which you were getting from abroad, for instance.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, in this especially in this perspective, things have been, getting on the fast track a lot. With I remember maybe like 3 years. Like if I talk about myself, I got introduced to these 10-minute delivery service that there are today. The
Hmm.
first one was Dunzo, right?
Right,
Uh,
right.
this was, I think, back in 2018 or so, 2017, 2018 or so. Uh, Especially after COVID, because then, during that time, people were ordering like everything from, their homes only, because obviously they're
Correct,
not
correct.
moving out. And looking at the I suppose that's what happened, that looking at the prospect of, how things are going to be post pandemic, because
Mm,
that was more like a Thanos click, that, things have changed altogether. It was a
correct.
pre-COVID
Yeah,
world, and then there is a
yeah,
post-COVID world altogether.
correct, correct.
So I think a lot of brands like Zomato, who took over Grofers and renamed it Blinkit, got into
Mm,
this segment. Whether it is
mm,
Swiggy, who was just a food delivery app, got into Instamart,
mm,
and then you had Zepto and uh, Big Bazaar also. It was just
mm,
a supermarket which actually started sending out groceries and fruits and vegetables and everything. So I think
mm,
this a lot of players at w- at the same time got into this race, and
mm.
I think it would be very interesting to see what will be the next step, in this particular uh, thing that is going on right now. In fact, that brings me to my next question is, uh, with all this thing happening around, with all this, evolution happening in the digital marketing, uh, w- where do you see, like, what do you see is going to be the next uh, big thing, or where is it going? What do you see is going to happen now? Because obviously we have seen from uh, just a mere social networking site to becoming a full-fledged marketing platform, how Facebook, Twitter, um, LinkedIn have evolved, viral marketing becoming more of influencer marketing, or maybe still there is a thin line between the two. AI, ML, generative AI. Where do you see all these things going? Like, what's going to be the next big thing coming up in the next
So
five,
one
ten
of the
years?
things which we are very context bound, and the context in which we are bound is, okay, India population 1.4 billion, digital connections almost as 50% of the population, 700, 900 million counting, over a billion mobile phones, which means that some people have multiple phones. E-commerce transactions around 50% of the digital, or near thereabouts, 400 million e-commerce transactions, right? And yet we are the world's highest in UPI, as in digital payments, right? Where else is this happening? Who did we overtake? We overtook China. Now, what is China? Thanks to their internet approach, they never allowed any of the global giants like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc., into China. Not even TikTok, by the way, which is apparently Chinese, used to be Chinese owned, and now hosted in US, etc. Um, China has done something very interesting. If you look at their apps, the phone apps, like we have WhatsApp, they have something called Vivo. They are actually super apps. So super app is a concept which we haven't seen in the West, because the West has a very different approach to things. Like, okay, you have a picture, you go to Instagram. You have a video, you take it to YouTube. You have a resume, put it up on LinkedIn. You want to consume or create opinion, go to Twitter, right? So the West thinks are very in boxes. The East, on the other hand, has all-in-ones. A radio which also plays a tape, which also plays, becomes a pencil box. you know so we have that multiplayer kind of usage. The same thing has to be used multiple times, right? So when the first camera phones came in when I was there in Nokia, there used to be the joke that yes, my photo bhi lete hai, right? So it was a phone that it was, it had a torch. The Nokia 1100 had a torch. You can see at night.
There was
So
this
this multi,
Nokia Engage that came, which was, I
yeah, the
think,
gaming,
the gaming
yeah,
phone of that time.
yeah, yeah. So, the thought process was that, okay, there's a device for every need.
Yeah.
Vis-a-vis, I mean, the current approach, which is that there is one piece of glass, plastic, and steel with electronics inside, which is your mobile phone, where you can do whatever. You can take pictures, you can play games, etc., and also do transactions. Now imagine a super app which does all of this. One app, where you can express yourself, share commentary, pay people, buy online. WhatsApp is coming close to it.
Close, yeah.
But I think there is huge, much larger spaces which are available. So going forward, I'm seeing a scenario where a lot of separate pieces are going to come together as one. I think Elon Musk is also trying to do something similar on X, because he's taken some big bets in crypto, Bitcoins and other Dogecoins, etc. So he would like to, and if you've seen how X is moving, it's moving its audience, which was originally from people chatting with each other, to politics, to opinions, to e-gaming and crypto. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see a direction from X into that direction, which is actually going after a particular persona, right? So if you're a gamer and you're earning in crypto, in e-gamer, etc., that could possibly be your go-to app. So there's possibly a sense that I'm getting that, okay, this is how these guys are going to be looking at things, because the algorithm which is behind it, all these apps, and that's also AI, getting AI. There was always ML and AI running on it. But with generative AI, it's, you probably take a picture and, just say that, okay, I want to look like, I don't know, Brad Pitt. So, or sound like, Robert De Niro, and then my voice changes. So that kind of stuff is no longer in the realm of, imagination. All of this
Absolutely.
is now in the realm of possibility.
Possibility.
And what I'm seeing is that when I look at it from the digital marketing point of view, uh, these changes will happen very suddenly. These changes don't happen because they've told you and we're going to do this feature upgrade, etc. Because technology is moving so rapidly. So there are three forces moving here. There's technology which is moving pretty fast. There is user behavior which is changing also pretty fast. And then marketing and user behavior and technology coming together. And that's why I use that term, which I absolutely love, of Nandan Nilekani, is that innovation is going to be at population scale. So you're possibly going to see the emergence of the super app with the business plays, with the marketing plays for particular personas.
That means the role of data is
Hmm.
still going to be kind of the same only, because data, we talk a lot about how data has been utilized,
Hmm.
whether we're talking in the beginning of our conversation, we talked about the remarketing or hyper localization. So everywhere, data plays a very, very important role over there. But I was really, intrigued to know whether how this role shift will happen, whether with AI it's going to be something else or not. But I think by what you're saying, uh, it is only going to be more crucial and more at the epicenter of everything, because to create this kind of a super app that you're talking about, uh, the manufacturers, the developers obviously will actually require more fine-tuned data, for these things. So the
Actually,
role of data
that's
is going to be the same, I guess. There's not
no
going to be any.
data is actually the, as somebody put it, data is the new oil. So when you take out that crude from the ground, it's called petroleum because it's oil out of the rock, right? And then you refine it and refine it and refine it, and at one level it becomes plastic, at another level something which you drive your car with, right? Now, that's the chemical process, chemical engineering process. Now, that same data running through sensors, running through created content, running through expressions, running through language, running through human behavior is absolutely rich, right? So big data is not just about big data. It's actually now sliced down into rich data. So big data is not the story. The story is rich data, and how do you enrich it? And when you're doing smart things with machine learning and AI, and you're putting an overlay of generative AI, which is talking to or querying this data to become even more richer, it becomes a gold mine for the marketer. So somebody will have to think that. And that is where I think the human input will become important. And that's where the digital marketer who wants to connect with the user has still a massive role to play. And that role is to actually go very, very close to the ground to figure out what actually makes marketing sense. How do you understand the market? Who is that evangelist? Who is that early adopter? Who is the mass follower? Who is the lead follower? And who's the influencer? Because at the end of the day, understand that all of this is to do with humans. Humans have to buy, humans have to sell.
So yeah, I hope it also it stays that way, that it's a human who's actually putting machines to work. Great, sir. All said, it was a very interesting, insightful, and very inspiring, I would say, session. Thanks a lot for joining me on Digital Vigyaan today. Thank you for giving out time, and thank you for sharing all the inputs which you did today.
My pleasure, Jonah. I'm so proud and so happy to be part of your podcast.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for tuning in. If you like the podcast, please do subscribe to my channel on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast.